Hey there, first and foremost, I want to personally welcome you to CloseBot. We believe that we have the best conversational AI for Go High Level because we use an awesome drag and drop builder style that we know you're going to love. So to help you hit the ground running, I'm going to give you a quick full overview of what's inside your CloseBot account. Now, if you look at your account when you log in, you're going to be taken to the dashboard. Now, you may not have any activity as you are new, but as you start to have activity and you start to generate responses with your bot, you'll start to see all of that stuff here. Now, I'll go into like the troubleshooting and what these, if you click on these, what these logs and stuff mean. But I'm again going to go over just the necessities so you can hit the ground running. So we are in the dashboard right now. This will give you things like, how many credits you have left, how many credits you've used today. You can also separate the dates, how or what date range you want, responses, how many contacts, how many follow-ups, etc. So you have a few different options here to track the metrics. If you need to re-up or buy credits, you can do so by clicking this button right here, which will give you a little slider, and you can designate how much money you want to spend and add credits to your account. Now, if you're not using your own OpenAI API key or Anthropic API key, then you will need to buy CloseBot credits in order to use your bots. You are preloaded with a designated amount, so you may have some credits to begin with, but as soon as those run out, you'll either need to use your own OpenAI API key if you're on a super user account or Anthropic, or simply use the CloseBot accounts by purchasing them right here. Now, you're going to notice that up here, you've got a cool badge of honor system up here, where basically it's going to track how many messages you've sent. You'll get badges for hitting certain intervals. You'll get badges for, booking. You'll get badges for, scheduling, et cetera, et cetera. So again, it's kind of fun to see like all the different badges you can achieve and watch your ranks grow. I'm still missing 2, so I really need to get those going here. But if we look on the left side here, you're going to notice that we have our bot right here. And if you click this, once you start to have a lot of bots, they're going to be listed in here. They're going to have a corresponding bot number as well as the name. So make sure that you are labeling these so you can actually just search. If we want to look for instance, the detail bot, which is the one that I'm on, you can literally just type and search much like you could with a high-level sub account. If you click on account settings, it's going to take you to a page right here. If there's ever anything going haywire with your account, or let's just say OpenAI is down for the day, which is very, very, very rare, which is also why we have Anthropic as a fallback. But if anything ever goes completely awry and you want to make some changes to like all the bots and you want to stop them all, you can literally go to your account settings and just turn them all off right here instead of having to go and disconnect, etc. So think of that as like your master kill switch to turn them all off if you need to make some updates at scale. Also, you can select this option to have auto refill, so that way you never run out of credits and you don't have to worry about your bot just stopping working because you forgot to put some credits on your CloseBot account. Now, if we go to modify bot, this is going to take us to where pretty much all the magic happens. So let me actually pull up a different one here. There we go. This is the one we've been showing in the demo, so I want to make sure it's consistent with what you've been seeing in the other videos. But you've got a series of tabs up here. We're going to start at general, and I'm going to go over everything in here. And again, we'll go over these in more depth in separate videos, but I want to give you a full walkthrough and give you a grasp of how everything works. So your label, this again, and if you hover over anything, we'll give you these little tips that pop up. But this is literally just an internal label for you, so you can keep organized and know exactly what bot this is. Now, we just labeled this one detail bot because it's more of like a demo template type thing for us. But I would, if I was using this for a client, I would name this the name of the client's bot. I would also designate whether this is live or if it's, in progress, etc., or not in use. I would do that, and then I would put the customer's name as well. So that way I can search it 2 ways once it's in here. Now, again, I'm not going to save this here because I like the name detail bot for this template that we have. Now, the bot name, this is what your bot is going to refer to itself as. Sometimes we have fun with our clients and we let them name the bot. Sometimes we just give it a name if they don't really care. But again, it's kind of funny if you let your clients pick the names because they will spend a little bit of time, some of them anyways, in trying to figure out what they should name their bot. We've got stuff that's, a company branded bot. We've also got ones called Betty Bot. We've got ones called Stella. Our clients really have a fun time with naming their bot, and it becomes almost like an employee. So again, you name the bot right here. It takes on that personality. So for instance, we use Chloe with a lot of our bots. It's a very non-threatening, non-intimidating name, and it's just a good name. I also would caution you, if you are building this for a client, ask them, is this supposed to be representing you or somebody at your business? Or do you want it to be somebody completely separate with a different name other than anybody that's at your business, because if somebody was messaging back and forth with the AI and they're like, oh yeah, I was talking to Chloe, and there's a Chloe at the office, that could get confusing. Now, if there's no Chloe at the office and they say I was talking to Chloe, well, then your client knows automatically who they were talking to. So keep that in mind. I don't usually name it anybody that would at least have that same name at the office, but unless I was trying to, make it appear as if it was that person. So just depends on how you're building that, what your client wants. Now you have a bot usage option right here, so you can limit the maximum amount of messages you want this bot to be allowed to send or handle on a 30-day rolling count. This is really only used in my eyes for like testing purposes, or if you're doing like a trial or something with your client, or if you're selling them a package that only includes 5,000 messages, etc. Those would be some instances where you would limit it, but typically I'm not throttling or limiting those responses. I'm selling people unlimited plans, and I'm just using their OpenAI API key, and they're paying for the usage. They just pay me a monthly subscription fee for that. Now, response delay in seconds, and again, if you hover over these, it'll give you exactly what it is, but I'm gonna quickly run through here. So your bot takes about anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds on average to generate a response from the time it sends that webhook from Go High Level with that information from the contact, sends it to us at CloseBot. We process that message generation and then send it back. Takes anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds, just depends on the day, what the workload is with High Level, but it's very snappy. So snappy, in fact, that some people think or know that it cannot be human because it's so fast. So if you're running into that problem where it's, showing up too fast and the messages are coming through too quickly to where it doesn't seem human, you can add a response delay. So for instance, if you want to add an extra 15 seconds, it will take 15 seconds plus whatever that normal time of processing was, and it'll send messages anywhere from 20 to 25 seconds. So again, you can make these delay as long as you'd like, depending on your demographic. I have folks that are using this with their demographic is older folks, and they don't want it responding too quickly because it can get overwhelming. So they actually put a 45-second to 120-second delay on the messages, so they're not coming through too quickly. So again, you can put that delay so that way it delays those messages being sent. Expert tip, if you're ever demoing this, leave this on 0. I don't know what it is, but when you're on like a live demo call with somebody or showing your AI, for a Zoom or something, it always feels like an eternity when you're sitting there waiting for it to respond, even if it's only 15 seconds. So I do not put any delays if I'm demoing it. I want it as snappy as possible. It seems like it has the most wow factor. But when you're using it with real life people or leads that are coming in, usually have like a 5 to 10 second delay so it doesn't come through too quickly. Frequency AI typos. This one's really cool because again, if you want to give your bot a more human feel, you can do this on a percentage base of basically 1 to 100. So if we want our bot to 1 out of every 5 messages, that's about a 20% frequency, send a typo on purpose, we will put 20 in there. So that means about every 1 out of 5 messages, the AI is going to misspell something on purpose and then immediately send another message with the little asterisk saying, oh, sorry, and this is the way it was really spelled. So just like you would if you were texting a friend and you say the wrong word. I mean, I know now on the iPhone you can edit your message, but previously us older folks had to just send another message with the asterisk letting them know that we actually do know how to spell. So again, you can do that if you want to give your bot a more human type feel. Now again, I sometimes will do this on a higher percentage for demos, like 50% of the time, just so I can show that or exhibit that to my client or prospect that's on that call, because they always think that, oh, AI is never going to replace a human. It's like, well, you haven't seen our AI. In fact, it's so smart, it's indistinguishable from a human, including we can even have it send some typos so people don't even question if it's a human or not. So we're showing that, and I usually jack it up to about 50% there. But to be honest, like a lot of times we're not using this at all with real life instances. My agency, we specialize in working with chiropractors, so a lot of doctors, a lot of them don't want the frequency or the AI typos in there. Some of them do like it, so it just depends. Ask your client how they talk or type, or what the voice of their brand is. And there's different ways to go about that. They may not know what the voice of their brand is, but just ask them, would you want us to add some typos in here to make it seem more human? But do know that this does incur extra messaging costs. So again, just letting you know how that works. But again, you can play with that. It gets really cool and fun when you create a bot and it seems very human-like, and then you have it throw in the typos. It's just really cool to run people through it because they think they're talking to a human, but they're talking to CloseBot. Now, frequency breakup larger messages. Again, this is a percentage-based scale here. So 20 being about 20% of the time, it's going to break up large messages into separate messages, much like most people would type on a phone. sometimes you're not typing like that full book long of a response, and you're breaking it up into separate messages. I always talk to my clients and kind of ask them how they would type or respond. And if they send all their thought in one message, well, then I leave this on 0. If they send shorter burst messages and, kind of hit them with a couple of different ones, well, then I'm just kind of playing with this at will. But a good rule of thumb is just leave it on that about 20% if you do want to break up those messages. As we all know, if you start to play with AI, sometimes it can be a little lengthy. So it is nice to throw this in there so that way we're not getting too long of responses on a regular basis. Prohibited words. This one right here is pretty cool because, depending on the industry or depending on your client, they may not want you to use certain words. For instance, we have a guy that I think he's a real estate broker, but he doesn't like to use the word cash, I believe. He likes to use alternate ways of phrasing that. So if cash is a no-no word, we can literally type cash here and it's not going to use that word. It will find alternate ways or swap the words to say something else. So again, this can be, in a regulated industry, you want to make sure you're not using terms that are not allowed to be used or frowned upon in that industry. So again, it's really cool. I don't ever start out with having these. I will ask a client, like especially if I go into the financial sector or anything having to do with finance, I do ask them, like, are there any words you want us to stay away from? Any verbiage you would want to make sure we, say things in a certain way? They'll usually know off the top of their head what they would and would not say, and then I'll add them in there. For everybody else, I've really never had to use this, but it is an option if you find that the AI is using words that you would like to have swapped out for something else. Now, you've got general settings here. General settings is really cool because it's a couple little toggle switches. You can literally click this one. If you leave this toggled off, it will automatically mark the conversation as read and go high level, meaning that you're not going to get that notification as soon as you log in, or your client's not going to get that notification showing the unread messages because the AI is having a conversation. It marks it as unread. However, if you do not want that to happen and you still want it to show up in unread because the client hasn't physically actually seen it with their human eyes, well, then you can toggle the switch on and it will leave that conversation unread, so it shows up in that unread divider in that conversations tab. Multi-objective handling. This is really cool, and it may not make sense just yet if this is the first video you're watching, but as you know, we are an objective-based builder, meaning you have a series of objectives to complete the end goal, which could be qualifying, disqualifying, and then booking a person or a lead. But let's just say, for instance, in the detail bot, we're working with car detailers. They typically need to know, what type of car somebody has. Sometimes they need to know the color because that depends on, or that'll tell us how much work we have to do with if it's white versus a black car versus, what shows, what doesn't. We're also asking things like condition rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So we're asking a few different things about the car, and those are separate objectives. So those are kind of 3 separate objectives. But if I ask somebody what type of car they have, and they say, I have a 2022 black Ford Mustang. If they were to say something like that, well, they mentioned that it's a 2022 Ford Mustang, but they also mentioned that it's a black Mustang, and color of vehicle would be one of our objectives. And again, I'll go over that when I get to objectives, but those are technically 2 separate objectives that we were going after. If this is on, CloseBot can detect that they said that in an earlier message. So if you get to that color of vehicle and it's later in the conversation, or the other, vice versa, it will scan that conversation, and if it finds that information, it will automatically add it and not ask again. So it's a very intuitive feature. I really, really like it, unless you want them to, answer them each one specifically. And there's no right or wrong way to do it, but this does make the conversation flow a little more naturally. So again, just play with it. It's a really cool feature to have on, but it can handle multiple objectives at one time. So, if you're asking 5 questions and they answer 3 of them in one response, guess what? It'll honestly take those and then piece them together into those 3 objectives. And then you only have 2 left versus asking 5 separate questions to achieve that 5 separate answers. Conversational rescheduling. This is really, really new, fresh off the press as of the time I'm shooting this video. Now our AI can literally rebook somebody if they're booked on a calendar. And whether CloseBot booked it or not, if somebody books an appointment and then they're interacting with the bot and they're like, hey, I can't make it on Tuesday, I need to cancel and reschedule. Well, CloseBot can do that now conversationally. It will cancel the appointment, even if it was made by a human, not just the ones made by CloseBot, but any appointment on that calendar within Go High Level, it will cancel that and it can actually reschedule them. So again, you do need to toggle this switch on for that to work. Always aware AI. This is another really, really cool feature. However, it does not work with HIPAA accounts. So if you're working with doctors in the medical industry and you have the HIPAA compliance on your Go High Level account, you cannot use this with that just because it does technically break the chain and makes it not HIPAA compliant. So I want to be very transparent there. However, If you are outside of using HIPAA, this is really, really cool feature because Always Aware AI, pretty much to sum this up, what this does is every time a conversation is had, this will now, whether CloseBot had the conversation or if your client manually takes over, starts typing, messaging from the app, from the desktop app on Go High Level, either or. If they start messaging and they turn the AI off, and let's just say they get busy with a client or they close for the day, and after hours that client or that lead messages back, but our client isn't there, the AI is there, the AI will literally take a snapshot of that conversation and pick up the conversation back where it left off, whether it was with CloseBot or if it was an actual human that was messaging the lead. It will literally take a snapshot of that and be aware of that conversation and then pick up where it was left off. So that was a huge, huge one. I was super excited when this came out, and it's a really, really cool feature to have. And then bot off on manual reply. Another really cool one because depending on your client, some of them may be involved in the lead nurturing process. Some of them may want nothing to do with it and just want you to serve up booked qualified appointments. All are good, but for the people that are watching those conversations and they manually intervene, like somebody's watching that AI talk and it's like, oh, I know how to answer this question or I'd answer it better, and your client jumps in, which will happen, it will automatically detect that and it will automatically turn the AI off, so that way you're not getting doubled up on, or the lead's not getting doubled up on responses. So again, cool little toggle switch to have on. If that were to happen, it will stop the AI, and then if your client, let's just say, like I said, they're answering the questions, but then they get busy or it's after hours and they don't want to answer those questions anymore because they're off. They just need to remove that AI off tag, and then the AI will kick back in. Now you got your different models. These are pretty much the providers. I've got a couple different things to show you here. So, and again, we go over these in separate videos, but you've got your OpenAI key. That means if you have your developer account with OpenAI and you have an API key and you put that in here, you will have this option to use your own key. So it's using your credits from your OpenAI account. You also have credits, which anytime you see credits in parentheses, that means when you buy the credits from CloseBot, you are using those credits, and that can of course be used for OpenAI or Anthropic. But what's special about this models right here is you can reorder this in whatever priority that you want. So if I wanted to use Anthropic, then I'm going to put it up here. Now, if I was using my own Anthropic key, I would also have an Anthropic. It would say key, and I could prioritize Anthropic key first. If that fails, meaning if Anthropic's running an update or it's overloaded for the day or something, and again, these are very rare occurrences that would ever happen. However, it does happen every once in a while. If that happens, it will fall back to the next one in line. So if my Anthropic credits fail and I wanted to go to OpenAI credits, and then if that fails, I wanted to go to my OpenAI key, well, that's what it's going to do. So it's going to start here. If for some reason this does not work, instead of leaving you high and dry and the lead wondering if you're ever going to respond, it's going to fall back to OpenAI based on credits, because that's the next one I have in queue here, or in succession, and then my OpenAI key. Now, I actually kind of have this opposite here. I have my OpenAI key, then I'm falling back to credits, so I'm still using OpenAI because Anthropic responses are slightly different. Some people prefer them more than OpenAI. Some people prefer OpenAI more than Anthropic. Play with it and see which ones you like. But this is the order that I have. But again, these are, you can move them just by dragging and dropping. Now, up here, super simple. We've got the plus sign. So if you want to create a new bot, you're always starting with a template. There's no option to start with a clean, fresh slate unless you delete everything out of this one, save it, and duplicate it. But start with one of these. And even if you don't see an industry that is what you are in or your client is in, start with something that is the closest to what it is. And then look at the prompting, so that way you can see what proper prompting should look like. And then you can basically adjust. We almost always start with the real estate bot because I like that one. It doesn't matter what we're building, unless it's very close to fitness. We're starting with this guy or this template, and then we're editing that to meet the needs of our client that we're building that bot out for. So again, that is how you create a new bot. You go plus sign, start with a template. If you want to, you can clear everything out of the template, save, and then start from scratch. Or you can go to whatever bot you have. So for instance, this detail bot, if this is the one I've used for all my detailers and it's a pretty solid bot, I can literally just click this little duplicate button. It will duplicate the bot. And then of course, delete the trash can. I think we all know what that means. It means your bot will go bye-bye. So please be careful when you click on that button. Now, moving along here, we're going to integrate. Now, again, depending on if you're a super user or not, you may see some of these options. You will only see these options if you have that super user account, being able to put your API key, at least at the time of shooting this video. But Right here, if I did not have an OpenAI key, it would look just like this one. And I would just need to put my OpenAI key in here, and then I would connect. And then as soon as it's connected, I would have access to be able to go to general and use my OpenAI key, which does generate cheaper responses than going through the CloseBot credits. Either way, the cost, whether you're using CloseBot credits or OpenAI key, it's pretty insignificant. I mean, unless you're like a super powerful user with thousands of contacts in your CRM, it's not that expensive to generate responses for the AI, and it's getting cheaper, which is really cool. But you will only be able to use your own OpenAI key if you put it in here, and this is on a per bot basis. So if I were to duplicate this bot and make another one for instead of detail box, it's detail shop. I would need to go in here and put an OpenAI API key in the new one too. And then same thing, if I were to use my Anthropic API key, I would put it in here, I would connect it, and then I would have that option back in general. Webhook, if you're doing anything fancy with webhooks, this is where you can put a webhook endpoint. I've never personally had the need for one of those, but there might be more sophisticated users out there that are using webhooks for things, and that's certainly okay. Now you have the option to put a webhook integration or endpoint here, so you can use that. Now, this right here, your lead connector, this is how you connect it to high level. And again, you can connect your bot to as many Go high level accounts as you would like, any sub account you would like, in any agency account, as long as you have the agency admin access privileges. So if you don't have anything here and you're going to set up your bot for the first time, you're clicking add new. If you're not logged into a Go high level account, it will ask you to log in, and then it will show all the sub accounts of that agency that you are logged into. If you're already logged in, and if you're using multiple Go high level accounts, warning, make sure that you are logged into the account that you want to use, because it will show those sub accounts. And you are not connecting at the agency level, you are always connecting at the sub account level. So each bot needs to connect to a sub account. And the cool thing is we now have the ability to connect one bot to unlimited sub accounts. So if this detail box bot was the same bot I was selling in this industry and it was the exact same and I was using custom values, I could literally have 10 different people using this bot and it would track all that usage per location, but I could use one bot for up to 10 locations or however many locations I'd like to. So again, that's this section. Detect. Now let's go over this, and I've went over this in another video as well, but these are stop scenarios, meaning that if the contact becomes aggressive, we can turn this on so it will stop. So if it detects that it's getting a little upset, which I would always play with this one, I usually leave it off because sometimes, depending on the industry, people can talk in colorful ways, which may flag that it's talking in an aggressive manner, and it can trigger the AI to add this tag and stop the conversation when they're not upset. So again, watch that one and play with it. Depending on your client, you might want to turn this one off or on, but really just play with it and see. I really don't have too many people getting too crazy with me or my bot, so I usually leave it off. But if this happens, any of these stop scenarios, if these are on, these are the tags that they're going to add. Now, what's cool about this is, well, one, anytime you see AI off, that is like the kill switch for this particular bot, meaning that if the AI off exists on a contact, CloseBot will not talk to that contact. So again, when it adds this, it basically shuts the AI off. Also, it adds another tag, and the reason it adds a separate tag is because you can trigger notifications, or you can trigger, it to move to a pipeline, upset lead, etc. But it adds a tag because then you could then trigger yourself, or a notification to yourself, or a notification to your client to, hey, check out what's going on with Tammy. Looks like she may be becoming a little bit aggressive. See what's going on and make sure this conversation is going okay. So again, you can do certain things based on the tags. We did this so you can create workflows based on these actions. If the contact's saying goodbye, this one's really cool because now that it detects that, this person's, okay, cool, farewell, whatever they're saying, but if it's alluding to that the conversation's over, it will add this tag, which again, you should trigger a workflow so that way you can just go check the conversation or your client can make sure that it was indeed a goodbye text. But the reason we did this is because there's times when our bot will, book somebody or go through the conversation, they say, I'm no longer interested, thanks anyways, have a good night. And AI is really just trained to respond to anything. So then the AI would, could kick in. But now that we have this, if you turn this on, if it detects that it's a farewell type of text or goodbye or end of conversation type text, this tag will be added and it will not respond to that particular message. However, if they say something again, the AI will still kick in because there's no AI off that's being added. But I do caution using this workflow with this tag, to notify you or to notify your client, just to look at that conversation, just to be on a safe side that they were indeed saying bye. The next one, contact a spammer or phishing. Again, this one is going to add this AI spam detected. So if you want to create a workflow with notifications, you absolutely can if you want to check that out. And then it's going to automatically trigger the AI off. That way your bot's not talking to another bot and just running up your costs. We've seen that happen before with bots becoming more and more prevalent. So again, it's really cool that we can detect that if it's spam or phishing, and that will automatically add those tags. Contact likely another bot. So similar to this right here. Now the difference between spammer and phishing and then contact likely another bot. The spammer or phishing, typically when you're getting blasted with spam, you'll know right away with the message that comes through, so it turns off pretty quickly. The contact likely another bot. This one is, again, if it's responding too quickly or the responses seem like they're AI generated and they're coming in at a fast pace, it's going to quickly detect that and again save you money. Also, it's going to turn off so you're not talking to these spammers or the phishing artists. I don't know if that's the term, but we're going to call them that. So again, really cool to have these new features that are on here. And this last one, contact reach end of objectives. That just means that our AI is going to do a good job of talking to the people. It's going to qualify, go through all the series of objectives that you've done or made, and then as soon as it's complete with all the things that it needs to do, it's going to stop the conversation so that way we don't annoy the person that just did everything that we wanted them to do. You can turn this on and off. If you don't want it to turn off and you want it to answer questions afterwards, you absolutely can. But the way we phrase it in our agency is our job is to get them to that next step, which is typically booking a trial or coming in for a quote, et cetera, et cetera. And as soon as we get them on the calendar, our AI turns off, and that's where you, Mr. Client, come in and pick up the conversation or take over. So again, just all different stop scenarios. These are all toggleable, meaning that you can turn them on and off. So play with those at your will. And then custom scenario is super freaking cool. It is a new one because you can define whatever you want in here. So if a contact, for instance, says they're not interested in our product, after they're talking, it can detect that. And again, you can define it. Customer said they have a blue car and want a red wrap. And again, this is a very abstract scenario, but you can literally define any scenario that you want here. And if the AI detects that this is what's going on, if you have this switch on, it's going to add this custom tag detected, and then you can trigger it to do something else. Now, some actual use cases is, again, if they're not interested, you could have AI custom detected, and you can have it turn off automatically if they're not interested by selecting this option here. So if this is gray, it's not going to add the AI off tag, but if you create a scenario where you want the AI to shut off, then we can do this. Now, another one where I don't turn the AI off is if I have this as a chat widget and somebody comes in and they're like, hey, how do I book an appointment? If it senses that they want to book an appointment from the get-go before asking all the qualifying questions, depending on my client, they may just want to let them book. So if this AI custom detected scenario is that they want to book an appointment, but they haven't answered all those questions, I can add this tag, and then I can trigger a workflow in Go High Level to check off my other objectives, accept booking, and it will skip the AI all the way to the booking and just let them book an appointment. So again, just some cool little scenarios you can do with it. I'll go over more stuff in more depth, at least in separate videos, but that gives you a good sense of what that one does. Now let's talk about prompting, because this one is like where really all the magic happens. And this is where I think we really shine. I've worked with a lot of people that have come from different platforms, and they're used to what I would call the old school way of prompting, where you can, have this right here and you can type up to 4,000 or even more characters depending on the platform you're coming from. And you can still do that if you like. However, I would not do that because we have created a system that works way, way, way better. And if you use this improved layout by sliding this toggle on, which it is by default, well, then you can just prompt these 3 sections and you will have a really, really good bot without having to max out these characters, I might add you. The other thing I always tell everybody is less is more when it comes to prompting. And I wish I could take credit for that, but the creator of CloseBot, Bryce, you guys may know him from the Facebook group, but he taught us very well. Like when he came here, he's like, look, most people think they have to max out the prompting and give it all this information, but less is more. You really just want to give it the maximum amount that you need to for it to be able to do its job. And when you do like the why this conversation is happening, I always tell everybody to talk like you're talking to a 5th grader, because this right here is basically you, if you were to train somebody on their first day of the job, what they're responding to, with these people coming in. So like this one, it says you're an awesome employee for Coding King Studio. Your name is @repname. And by the way, when you see these short codes, that is their bot name is @repname. @lead name is the contact. But we're saying, hey, the contact filled out a form on Facebook and is interested in our services and probably reaching out about our rock lear coating, which is better than ceramic coating. So again, you can get as granular as you like, but you can just tell them, hey, we're running Facebook ads and they have opted in because they want to, lose 2 inches with our guaranteed 2-inch weight loss or inch loss guarantee. So again, you're just giving it a simple reason why the conversation is happening. In here, you're giving it important business information. So again, you can tell it, hey, your name is whatnot. And you don't even necessarily need this one because when you name it, it knows its name. But we can say, hey, we're a local business that provides high quality paint correction and ceramic coating services. These are the services we provide: paint correction, paint sealants, Icon Rock Clear coatings. While we service a variety of wide variety of passenger vehicles, our specialty is daily drivers. With our single area of focus, we've been able to design and refine our process and packages over the years to give you the best value possible. Now, we also put in some information with a little hashtag here. We do not service boats. We do not service motorcycles. We do not service RVs or heavily neglected vehicles. So again, we're telling it, this is important to our business. We don't do these things. So if somebody starts messaging our bot and is like, oh, I got a motorcycle, well, it's going to kindly tell them that we don't do those. If services we do not sell, we don't do spill removal, smoke or odor removal, which is common in the car detailing space of people wanting. We don't do that. We focus on coatings over here. So again, we're telling it what we do. And then also we put a price range. So if somebody's asking price, we just say a general vague answer of $500 to $2,000 based on the service and the condition of the vehicle, but you are not able to give them pricing. A team member will discuss pricing once they look at the vehicle in person. So again, we're giving it important business information. We also put, hey, things not to do. Do not send anything connected to a link. So we're trying not to send links. We're just trying to get them to book on the calendar. We also say things to do. Put a space at the beginning and end of a link. So if it does send a link, which every once in a while we'll do like promotions or something like that, we want to make sure it doesn't or it puts a space at the beginning or end so it formats correctly. And again, this is something that the prompting has worked out. You probably don't even need this last portion. We've just had this bot, as you can see, the low bot number here for a very long time. And we always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, well, it hasn't broken. We haven't needed to fix it. So this one right here, how to respond, is pretty cool because you're basically just saying, hey, you're responsible for educating this person with whatever information they need regarding our ceramic coating services. Don't use at lead name unless necessary. If lead name asks about anything other than ceramic coating services, kindly tell them you aren't aware, but can assist with any questions in regards to our ceramic coating services. It is important not to overwhelm the customer, only respond with needed information. So we added this to just basically keep the responses short and concise and make sure that, we're not letting the leads take us off task and talk about politics or anything like that. We're just telling them, hey, we're only talk about these things. Now, the one thing I want to point out here is you got 500 characters in your first section that you can use. You got 1,500 here, and you got 500 here. If you'll notice, we're only using 244 here. I usually only use 200 to 300 characters in the first section. You can go longer, but I do want to caution less is more. And a lot of these other platforms would lead you to believe that you need to have this crazy God prompt, for lack of a better term, meaning that you have to have everything you could possibly think of under the sun in this prompt. It's got to fit a certain character amount, and you should throw it in ChatGPT and all these other data formatters and, max it out so it has all the information it needs. Our AI is trained so very well by the developers that it's trained with a foundation on sales. It's trained with the objectives in mind. All you got to do is put simple information and talk to it like a fifth grader. And I always say, again, less is more, and also simple scales. So keep that in mind. If you have it super simple and you don't give it too much, you're giving the AI what I would call breathing room to be able to think on its own. And it really has access to pretty much the whole internet. And it's going to basically respond better than you would if you don't lock it down too much. So again, think about that as you're prompting. You don't need to hit these character limits. It's not a game to see how much you can squeeze in 1,500 characters. Literally just use what you have to. There's been times I only use, 500 characters in this important business information. It's really all based on trial and error, but start with less, test your bot, and then go to more. And then bot voice up here. I typically always use casual and friendly as my two options. As you can see, you can use 1 to 3 different voice instructions for your bot. I usually only use 2, and I usually only use these 2. However, you can do professional, you could do strict, you can say sarcastic if you want to have fun with it. But you literally can just define the bot voice, and that's all going to be dependent on how your client interacts with their client. So again, try to capture your client in AI form, and you can do that with all this stuff here, as well as the bot voice. Now, let's talk about objectives real quick, because this is, again, our secret sauce. Not really secret. I think everybody knows about it now. But we have this awesome drag and drop builder, and there's two types of things you can do with this. You can do a gather information, which are these purple circles, or you can do a give information, which is this lime green circle. So gather means we are trying to pull information, gather information from that client or that lead. So, for instance, if I got a gather objective, I'm trying to determine the service that @lead name is looking for. And again, with this being detailing, we want to figure out what type of service are they interested in. And when we map this out, and again, there's a whole separate video on this, I'm mapping this to a custom field because CloseBot is very intuitive. It can literally get the information from that client. If they say, hey, I'm interested in ceramic coating, if I have a custom field in Go High Level, and I've got, if you know what a radio select is, like the 3 different options: ceramic coating, car detailing, or window tint. For instance, if they say they're interested in ceramic coating, this will automatically update that custom field if I have it mapped out here, and it will automatically check the box ceramic coating. So now it knows, or my client would even know at a glance, that this person is interested in ceramic coating, which there's a lot of things that you can do with that. I won't get super nerdy here, but a quick tip is if you are doing like a service type and we find out that they are interested in ceramic coating, well then I can have that custom field being updated, add a tag, ceramic coating interested. And the reason I would do that is if they never came in and I wanted to do a promotion about ceramic coating, I could send it to only the people that were interested in ceramic coating, because it would make more sense than sending it to somebody that was interested in window tinting. So again, just a little expert tip I wanted to throw in there for you. But when you do this, you literally can just fill out the short description. This is like the main area that you want to focus on when you're making these objectives. And when I say objectives, you've got a bunch of different objectives that you can do, but your objective here, this box, this prompting, is only for this task right here. So if you're prompting it on this objective, you're training it for what to talk to at this stage in the conversation. Once it achieves this information, this prompting no longer matters. It's going on to the next, and it'll be based on whatever that objective is. So the short description, think of it as your mini short and sweet prompt of what you want it to do or achieve. So our short description is just determine the service @lead name is looking for. And then we want to title it. Make sure you're titling this well, so that way it matches up with your custom fields when you make them and Go High Level. I've seen people make the mistake of doing like Q1, Q2, Q3, and then they end up moving all their stuff around, and then like they have no clue which question is which, and they gotta anyways, a lot of extra stuff they don't need to be doing. So make sure you title it well. Your prompt should not be super long. It shouldn't be really more than 25 characters, but certainly no longer than this box. And then if and only if you test it and it's not asking the questions or it's passing off information that you don't deem acceptable, then you have extra prompting area. So determine the service @lead name is looking for. Determine if @lead name is interested in one of the following: car detailing, ceramic coating, or window tint. And so again, if I need to give it more context so that way my AI knows exactly what they're looking for, I would do that right here. And this is not a game of how many words can I fit in 500 characters. So again, this is all I would need for my extra prompt would be right here. Sometimes it warrants a little bit more, but I'm gonna put that right there and that's good enough. On service type, again, I'm mapping this out based on custom fields that I have in Go High Level that correspond to what I have here. So if you look at my custom fields in Go High Level, I've named a folder called DetailBot. And this has my stuff here. So service type is right here up top. And I'll show you when I made this, I edit it, I've got options here. So ceramic coat, interior detail, exterior detail, or paint correction. So this is what I would have it, mapping out. So when this is made and this is asking those questions, of course I would update this to match. But when it gets the answer, it's going to select one of those and it's going to fill that in and check that box, which is really, really cool. Now, I can also skip this if we already have that information, and the only reason we maybe have that information is if they were an existing client that already filled that out, or if we put a form fill on an ad or a website and they checked the one that they were interested in, and if it was already selected there, then it would automatically skip this objective, which is really cool because if somebody just filled that out and now you're asking again, they usually won't get mad, but every once in a while you get somebody that like, I just told you on the phone, form when I filled it out. So again, you can skip this if it's already filled out. I usually re-ask for the information unless it's name, email, and phone number. And then you got settings down here. So right here means that it's gathering information. If we were to switch this, you're going to notice some of this stuff is going to go away. because all we're doing is giving information. Now, this prompt does not fit a give info objective, so I'm gonna make sure I leave it on gather, and when I get to the give info, I'll show you what that does here. Max attempts, this is, just think of this as how many times the bot is gonna ask this same question if the person does not provide us with an answer we deem acceptable. So I always do 2. If you're really critical on needing the data, you can do 3. If you do nothing or like put 0 or turn this off, it will ask until that person answers the question, which can be very annoying to the lead. So I typically will never do that unless I'm in a, like I got a franchise broker that we work with, and he has to know that they have at least $50,000 in liquid cash and some other criteria. So we make sure that they do not get passed without, answering that question. So we'll leave this one off. Sensitivity, this right here means that you will basically set a sensitivity. And if you're training it, meaning that, if somebody answers this question and let's just say they say, I don't know. We're giving an example, which you can do by clicking new example. You're going to type, I don't know. If that's what they were to say, you would say, well, are you needing a clean? Well, I would call it a detail, or are you interested in paint correction? And you're giving an example of what you would say, but then you're also grading this response. Like, how close is it to what you want? I don't know. I mean, that's like a 1. Like, that's a terrible, terrible response. So I would grade it at a very low number there. Now, what's important about this is your sensitivity is the threshold of pass or fail. So if it's above 50, it will pass that response. If it's below 50, it will not pass that response. So you'll notice these are 6s, like how much is it? That's a 5. We're not gonna, pass that. But if they say signature detail, like one of our clients, it's called signature detail. If they say that, then we deem that at 86. And you'll notice if I put this at a 42, whoops, it turns red because that's lower than our threshold. But if I put this at a 50, again, it's not past our threshold. But if I put it at 51, boom, we are above our threshold and it's gonna pass that response. Now, I will tell you too, do not worry about filling this stuff out. Leave your sensitivity at the 50 that it's on, and don't worry about filling any extra responses out here. This really only comes with trial and error, like when you're actually talking with real clients. If you're not getting acceptable answers, then that's when you start giving examples of the answers you're getting and what you're trying to avoid and how you would answer those, etc. So again, you don't need to go and do that. I see too many times people are trying to fill out every single thing from the prompting. They're trying to max out the boxes. They're trying to fill out all these objectives. They're trying to give it all these examples. I can literally make a bot in like 10 minutes from scratch. And it's just because I really only go in here and when I'm starting to build, I just do a short description. I do the service, I map everything out, and another expert tip, I map out everything and I just build them. So if I were to build another objective here, determine at lead name, vehicle name. Now, this is not something I would ask, but if they had a name for their vehicle, let's just say vehicle name. But I just want to show you. So like if that were one of my questions, I have this right here, but I'm worried about actually just getting all the objectives out, and then I can move these around wherever I want, whenever I want. So just build it out, storyboard it, if you will. I'm gonna delete this one because it doesn't make sense for us, but storyboard it, and then you can move these however you want. Now, again, I'm usually only doing a short description. I'm storyboarding this out, I'll build it all, then I'll go back into Go High Level and build my custom fields and then map them here. Now you won't see a drop down or have access to this unless you're integrated with an account. So be warned that you do need to integrate your account there. And then you'll see those options. And if you do go into Go High Level and you make a new custom field, you'll need to come back here, make sure you save and then refresh, and then that custom field will pop up. So if you make it in Go High Level and you're not seeing it in here, refresh, it'll solve your problem. All right, so let's talk about priorities here. So you actually have up to 7 priorities. And the way this works is CloseBot will go after priority 1 and everything that's in priority 1 before it will pass to priority 2. Since we only have one priority in here, or one objective in priority 1, it's gonna go after this, and as soon as it achieves that information in 2 attempts or less, it's going to pass to priority 2. Priority 2 will not get passed until both of these have been filled out. Now, the other thing to keep note of is that it may not ask these in this order. And in fact, you might try and like put these in a certain order and you notice that they don't stick. Don't get frustrated. That's intentional because the conversational AI is very intuitive and very smart. So depending on how the conversation's going, it may ask these in whatever order that it feels most natural for the conversation. And if you were to go through it 10 different times, you may get 10 different results. It may ask for color of vehicle this time, and next time you go through it, it asks vehicle type first. So again, it will go and ask these questions, and it will achieve all this information before it goes to priority 3, and then so on. Now, the other thing to keep note of is there's a priority 7, but if we were to, let's just say, move this discount code to priority 7, you're going to notice it's going to leave priority 5 empty. CloseBot will automatically collapse and make sure that there are no empty columns. So again, let me move this back here. You saw that it collapsed, and I'm going to move booking back here. And only if you have something in each of these priorities will these extra priority rows show up. So again, that's how you kind of make it and storyboard it out. Another expert tip is I usually put contact info a little later in the conversation. Matter of fact, I'd probably even put name back here. The reason is most people are coming in from a form fill with our clients. They're running ads, their name, email, phone number, we're already getting that stuff. So name, I've got this box to where it's going to skip it if it's already filled out, which most times it is. But if it's not, and let's just say we're using this on a chat widget, which is really, really cool. If we're using a chat widget, I'd rather the customer come to that landing page, ask a question about their car, my bot start qualifying them, start asking these questions. And if somebody's answering these questions that the bot's asking, by the time we've got to this question, like there's been so much rapport built, they're invested in that conversation, they're going to give you their name, they're going to give you their email, they're going to give you their phone number. So untraditionally, compared to like regular marketing where you want to get that stuff first, I always put it later because if I just do a good job of like asking questions, building rapport, I always get this information anyways. And if they're not willing to give me this stuff, then I don't really need this because they're probably not a qualified lead anyways. But again, just an expert tip, I always put this stuff later and I always skip it if we already have it. So that way it's not asking those questions. So that's that one. Now, knowledge base real quick, you can actually assign different knowledge bases. For instance, we got a gentleman that I've seen in the CloseBot group. He's doing some really cool stuff with a phone repair store. So like cell phone repair, and he can upload, parts list, and he can put like iPhone XR mic, and he put pricing and stuff like that. So you can use knowledge base to upload products, give it more context, frequently asked questions is a big one. And in order to connect it to your bot, you will just upload it through knowledge storage here. And then you're going to click on whichever ones that you want to connect. You can connect multiple. You'll save, and it does take about 10 minutes to apply, but it will fetch that information if it has, like FAQs, et cetera, et cetera. So that is pretty much a general overview. Let me just walk you through the knowledge storage real quick so you can see how to upload these. This one right here, you can do good, better, or best. Website being good, meaning you can scrape a URL, but just know that AI does a really good job of scraping sites, links, everything included on that website. So there may be extra information that you don't need. The better is to upload. And when you do upload, you can literally copy the things that you like from a website, put it onto a Word doc or PDF even, and then upload that file. Or text input, same thing. You can go to a website or you can type your FAQs here. This will give it the clearest, most concise data. So there's a few different ways that you do that, but as soon as you upload these, then they'll be available to you in your modified bot section to be able to upload. Test your bot. Let's run over here real quick. You've got this awesome looking iPhone here. I've got mine zoomed in, so it looks a little wonky, but you've got this iPhone style testing, or I guess just phone test thing here. And you can test what it would look like with Anthropic versus OpenAI. Now you can also reset right here by clicking this. It's going to clear your bot. So anytime you make changes, I would go here and I would reset it, and then you can go through and test your bot again. So it's always great to test it here. It will not be able to conversationally book until you have it, until you're testing it live through like Go High Level SMS or live chat. But you can do all the other testing here to make sure it sounds good before you turn it live on your Go High Level account. And then white label, if you have super user account, these are all your white label settings. I'll go over that in a separate video. Help and resources, there's also some really good stuff here. So help articles, obviously where you're watching now, if you need to reference back to these, it's easy to find within your dashboard here. Video library, same thing. It's going to take you to a lot of the videos, like YouTube videos and stuff that we've shot. Group help calls are great, so you guys should be taking advantage of the group help calls. Done for you services, there's a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, we'll click on it so we can show you what this looks like. But when you go to this, you go to what you see as preferred partners. So anybody we've listed as a preferred partner, they're extra trained in CloseBot. These are all great choices to hire to do work for you if you just want somebody to do it for you. Of course, our Facebook group, if you're not already in there, well, what are you doing? But aside from that, go to the Facebook group. And then we do have a Bot Launch Accelerator, which is our school group, mine and Charles, which is more about a little bit extra hand holding as far as like how to actually build and then sell the AI and then scale it. So again, that is a paid group that you can go to there if you need extra help actually rolling this out or selling this to clients. And then a developer, of course, is going to take you to our developer portal of our website. So again, you've got a lot more stuff if you are a developer, so you can check all this stuff out. I don't want to overwhelm you. I just wanted to make sure that you knew where everything was. And then, of course, feature request is huge. So if there's anything you feel like you would love to see in CloseBot, we use a system much like Go High Level to where if you go request a feature and then rally support from the other people in the community and upvote it, guess what? We prioritize your request or the popular ones, based on how many upvotes that it gets. So we suggest going over there if you have a feature request. Obviously put your feature request in there because if you got something really cool, we want to see it and we want to build it if everybody thinks that we need it. And then last, but certainly not least in your account is this become an affiliate, which basically if you want to get paid for pushing what we believe is the coolest software in the world, well, you can get paid to be an affiliate. So you can go sign up for an affiliate account there. And then last but certainly not least, if you're on a CloseBot paid account, you have access to all these resources and you literally have chat support and everything in here. So that is a full quick overview. Again, I will break all this stuff down in an individual video, but I just wanted to make sure that you had one video where you can go and get a quick run through of how everything works. So again, welcome to CloseBot. Get out there, build some amazing bots, and we cannot wait to see what you do with it. See ya.